Ladies and gentlemen, let's begin this session. We are already at 12:30 and we have to wind up by 1:45 or 1:40? 1:45. So we have 1 hour and 10 minutes. And we are on to 3, 4, 5 persons. So each to take about 14 minutes at the maximum. Right? So I wish everybody keeps the time so that we don't pilfer into the trespass into the next session and finish it on time. As I see from the theme, global investments in water and good water governance, the theme is for a macro view on investment in water sector. That is global investment in water. When we look at investment, we have to see two things: where the money will be invested, only where there is a return. And where there is a return, there is a cost to it. That is, all water projects are long gestation period, have long gestation period and are quite capital intensive. And there are a large number of stakeholders. So for any investment to come up, it has to meet the expectation of all these stakeholders. The investor has to get its return. The technology or who provides technology provider, he has to seek his return. Then the consumer ultimately, who is the paymaster, who is the ultimate boss, he has to be taken on board that what he is willing to pay. If the consumer is not willing to pay, all pleadings will fall flat. Therefore, to look at investment from where, with what instrument, how is structured, which currency, which proportion, which duration, how much quantum, and a permutation combination of the various instruments to ensure that it meets and satisfies all these stakeholders and arrives at a reasonable cost. Then this reasonable cost is again $1 million question, which is here in the single word governance. What happens? There is a project. It improves the quality of water, and then says pay as you use. Now, who fixes the pay? That is the water tariff. Now, this water tariff fixation is a very, very complex and complicated thing. It has a capital cost, it has a technical cost, it has a mechanism for variation, then multiple mechanisms for variation. One is a quantity, one is for price, one is for foreign exchange, one is for technology royalties, and so on and so forth. There are n number of factors which change along with during the execution of the project. Now, to put them into a change mechanism in a single figure, which will be added to the cost of water, which the consumer will pay, is a very, very complex affair, and normally it is done by way of a tariff structure. Tariff is put on the site or on the public domain for comments, and then there is a public hearing, and then there is a tariff which is adopted. Now that tariff adopted has to be so that it suits various consumers, starting from the lowest man on the ladder to the highest water consuming industry, and the profitability derived from the use of that water. So because I have been a power regulator, so I understand what are the problems and the difficulties and challenges faced in the tariff fixation. Water is still much more complicated. At least in developing countries, I think in Guyana, an attempt was made to privatize it, and within about 6 months, the price of water went 7 times, and it had to be abandoned. So especially for a country like India, where these smaller countries taken together are not even equivalent to a district of India, it is very difficult to look at private investment in water. All the investment that has come can come only by way of PPP, and those PPP I had looked at a time span of 1990 to 2020, 30 years. And in that, from 1990 to 2004, there were only 5 projects which could go to the bidding level. And out of that, from that experience gained in 2005 onwards, the speed increased. When I looked at the projects, most of the projects were either improving the distribution system or doing the O&M of the distribution system. None of them was a macro thing to aim at providing sustainable quantity of water for further treatment, transportation and distribution. What is the essence here is bulk water source, transportation, storage, redistribution, and then 80% of the water that is used is discharged, and the recycling, treatment, retreatment and reuse of this wastewater. So that is where we are, and that is where we have to look at. With this, may I invite the first speaker right in the order of what is in the brochure. That is first Mr. Gopal Madhubhashi to kindly give his presentation.